My wife said, "You'd be nothing without me, Daniel." Then I saw the papers she'd forged with my signature. I didn't shout. I just smiled, knowing she'd just signed her own sentence. When the police came for her, I didn't even look back. The day I realized what Melissa was doing, I was standing in my office, staring at the printout from my accountant. $50,000 wired to an unknown account. Her name listed as a joint owner. I didn't say a word. I just folded the page and slipped it into my desk drawer. Melissa came home late that night, smelling like champagne and expensive perfume. "Sorry, babe, girls' night ran long," she said, tossing her purse on the counter. Her phone buzzed twice. She turned it face down. "Everything okay?" I asked. She smiled, too sweet. "Of course. Why?" I shrugged, kissed her cheek, and went upstairs. I'd stopped expecting honesty from her months ago. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Alex, and told him I needed to restructure everything. The company, the real estate, even the vehicles. "Make it so that if anyone ever tries to touch it," I said, "it all falls apart unless I sign personally." He didn't ask why. He'd seen enough divorces to know. By the end of that week, I had a trust set up under a holding company with a fake name. Melissa still thought she had access to my accounts, but those were empty shells now. I let her believe it, even when she'd brag about our assets to her friends over wine in the backyard. I played along. I cooked for her, laughed at her stories, even took her to Vegas for our anniversary. She posted photos of us smiling, her diamond bracelet catching the light. She didn't notice that I paid in cash, that the company card she used every day was tied to an account with a $500 limit. One night, when she was in the shower, I scrolled through her phone. Messages with a contact named Mark, legal. "Mark, he trusts you too much. Get him to sign before Q4. Melissa, he won't read it. I'll tell him it's for taxes. Mark, perfect. Once it's filed, he's done." I locked her phone, put it back exactly where it was, and stared at the steam on the bathroom mirror. She walked out wrapped in a towel. "What's wrong?" "Nothing," I said. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About how lucky I am." She smiled, leaned in to kiss me. I kissed her back, slow and patient. Inside, I was already counting the days. The next month, she brought me a stack of documents. "These are just some quick property forms," she said, acting casual. "My accountant said it'll help with the tax stuff for next year." I flipped through the pages, deeds, transfer forms, even a few fake notarizations. I recognized my own signature already printed on one of them. "Can I sign these later?" I asked. "Sure, baby, no rush," she said, kissing my cheek. When she left the room, I took the copies, scanned them, and sent them straight to Alex with the message: "Run a check on all of this." By the weekend, we had proof. She and her lawyer friend had filed similar documents in county records before, transferring assets between shell companies. She was practicing. That night, I poured myself a drink, sat by the window, and watched her in the backyard laughing on the phone. I could tell she thought she was winning, so I started setting the trap. Monday, 7 a.m. I met Alex in his office. He laid a folder on the table. "Your wife's friend Mark? Not a real partner at his firm. Contract consultant. He's already under review for sloppy filings." "Good," I said. "Let's tighten the screws." We drew a timeline. My company became two companies. Assets moved into the trust. My personal signature authorization changed to a live signature only, no scans, no stamps. Alex set up a verification protocol with 3 notaries I trusted. If anyone tried to notarize my signature without me present, the seal number would flag as invalid. I hired a PI named Jamie. Ex-cop. Calm eyes. No small talk. "I need texts, emails, recordings," I told him. "I want them planning it." "Forced wire or bait?" he asked. "Bait." That night, I played dumb. I told Melissa I'd gotten a notice from the tax office. "They're asking for property clarifications. Do you have that accountant's number?" She lit up like a Christmas tree. "I'll handle it," she said. "I'll ask Mark to prep everything." Perfect. 2 days later, Mark showed up at our house. Soft handshake, cologne too expensive for his suit. He laid out a neat stack of papers on our kitchen island. "Temporary transfer. Just to consolidate. Safer for audit season," he said. I leaned in, pretending to squint. "So we sign where?" "Here, here, and here," he said, tapping the pages, moving fast. I didn't sign. I traced the line with my finger. I'll do it after dinner. I don't like signing on an empty stomach. He forced a smile. Melissa's eyes warned me to cooperate. I smiled back and opened a bottle of wine. When Mark went to the bathroom, I turned to her. "This is normal?" "Totally," she said, casual voice, nervous hands. "Mark does this all the time." In my office, I had a printer tray loaded with decoy forms. Same look, different content, different notary line. I swapped 2 sheets while I looked for a pen. Jamie's tiny camera, hidden inside a clock on the shelf, watched everything. An hour later, I made a show of signing. But not those forms. I signed the decoys with a special pen Alex gave me. The ink showed my initials under UV. My initials didn't match. On purpose. If Melissa tried to submit copies later, the mismatch would scream forgery. "Done," I said, sliding the signed stack toward Mark. He barely checked. He gathered them like a blackjack dealer. Melissa kissed my cheek like she'd already won. At 1 a.m., I drove to Alex's office and scanned each page. He tagged the file chain with timestamps and a logbook. "If they alter a single byte, we'll see it," he said. The next week, Melissa pushed harder. "Babe, could you pre-sign a few more? Mark's got a window to file on Friday." "Sure." I made coffee and signed 3 more decoys. Jamie recorded her on a call right afterward. "Yes, he signed." "No, he didn't read." "Stop worrying, Mark." Jamie texted me. "Got it. Audio clean." Thursday night, I took Melissa to a steakhouse to celebrate new contracts. We'd just landed. I watched her laugh too hard at the waiter's jokes. I watched her phone light up with Mark's messages. I excused myself, stepped outside, and called Alex. "Tomorrow they file." "DA's on standby," Alex said. "They want one more clean link. Her submitting or Mark submitting in her presence. We'll give it to them." Friday morning, I forgot my briefcase. We were supposed to meet at the county records office. Melissa was already at the table with Mark when I walked in. She waved. "All business." "Finally," she said. "We're tight on schedule." "Sorry," I said. "Traffic." Mark presented a fresh set. "We'll need signatures here just to confirm what you already signed," he said. I didn't touch the pen. "Why do we need to re-sign?" "It's just a procedural thing," he said. I leaned back. "Let's use my notary." Mark froze. Melissa frowned. "No need, Daniel. The office has one." Alex's notary, April, stepped from the hallway. I'd asked her to be early. "Hi," she said, smiling. "I can notarize for you." Mark recovered. "We're fine with the clerk," he said. April smiled wider. "Of course. But since I'm here, why not?" They were boxed. If they used April, the seal would expose the mismatch. If they refused, they'd have to explain why. Melissa leaned in close to me. "Please don't make this complicated. They're just forms." "For our taxes," I said. "Right?" April examined the pages. "These refer to a trust transfer and a deed of absolute sale," she said. "Not tax forms." Melissa snapped. "It's part of a tax strategy." April looked at me, back at the page. "Okay, then I need both of your IDs." I handed mine over. Melissa hesitated. "Do you really have to?" "It's the law," April said. "Calm." Mark slid 2 IDs across. April scanned them with a handheld device. The device chirped. She raised her eyebrows. "Mr. Weston," she said to Mark. "Your bar number on the footer doesn't match the state registry." Mark shifted in his seat. "Must be a misprint." April smiled. "Could be." I stood. "Let's take a break." We stepped outside. Melissa's nails dug into my arm. "Stop playing games. I'm just following procedure." Her eyes were flat. "Sign the damn papers, Daniel." I looked down at her hand on my arm until she let go. "No." Mark huffed behind us. "We don't have time for this." I turned to him. "Then file what you already have." He flinched. Melissa stared at me. "What did you say?" "You heard me." I walked back inside, nodded to April, and left them there with the stack. I didn't need them to sign in front of me. I needed them to file without me. By evening, Jamie called. "They scanned and filed your signatures to the county portal." IP traced to Mark's office. Melissa was logged in on her phone at the same time. "Send it all to Alex," I said. Saturday, I changed nothing. I grilled chicken, watched college football, and cleaned the garage. Melissa hovered like a storm cloud. "You're quiet," she said. "Long week." Sunday, I put on my suit and told her I was visiting a job site. I drove to the DA's office instead. Alex was waiting with a box. Inside, the decoy forms, UV pen logs, notary seal comparisons, video of the kitchen swap, audio of Melissa's call, IP trace reports, and a neat chart labeled timeline. The assistant DA flipped through everything. "You're very thorough." "He's meticulous," Alex said. "I'm irritated," I said. "They tried to steal my life." The ADA nodded. "We'll move fast. If they move money tonight, freeze orders go out first thing." We watched the clock. At 9:12 p.m. Melissa sent a wire from our joint account to the same unknown account I'd flagged 3 weeks earlier. Jamie's software mirrored the transaction. The ADA's eyes lit. "That's enough." Monday, 6 a.m. I made coffee. Melissa came downstairs in a robe. "You're up early," she said. "So are you," I said. "Mark's coming over at 9, she said. "Don't be late." At 6:40 a.m. Jamie texted. "Units rolling. Cameras ready." I set 2 mugs on the counter. "You want sugar?" "Just cream," she said. I heard the cars pull up before the doorbell rang. Unmarked. Quiet. Professional. I opened the door and stepped aside. 2 detectives walked in with calm faces and a warrant. "Melissa Moore?" one asked. She blinked. "Yes. You're under arrest for forgery, attempted grand larceny, and fraud." The mug in her hand clinked against the counter. "What?" The detective read her rights. She looked at me like I'd stabbed her. "Daniel, tell them this is a mistake." I didn't. I just moved my mug aside so they wouldn't knock it over. Mark pulled into the driveway right then. He saw the badges and tried to reverse out. 2 cruisers boxed him in. They walked him out too. He looked smaller without his cologne. Melissa hissed at me as they cuffed her. "You set me up." "No," I said. "You did." They took her out the front door. The neighbor across the street froze with a newspaper in his hand. I waved good morning. Inside, the house was suddenly quiet. I washed the 2 mugs and wiped the counter until it squeaked. Then I called Alex. "It's done." "Almost," he said. "Arraignment this afternoon. Come by after lunch. We'll finalize the freeze orders." I looked at the empty doorway and the soft dent her robe had left on the chair. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt steady, like a beam set in concrete. I grabbed my jacket, locked the door, and headed out to finish it. At the courthouse, Melissa kept her chin up like she was posing. Orange looked loud on her. Mark stood 2 tables over, sweating through a gray suit. The ADA, Patel, nodded at me from the front row and whispered to Alex. The judge read the charges. Forgery, attempted grand larceny, fraud. Bail is set at. He glanced at the stack of exhibits. $200,000 for Ms. Moore. $150,000 for Mr. Weston. Melissa turned her head just enough to find me. Small smile like we shared a joke. She thought I'd blink. I didn't. After, in the corridor, her sister Nora practically ran at me. "She made mistakes, but prison? Daniel, she'll die in there." Alex stepped between us. "Please direct concerns to counsel." Nora dropped her voice. "She loved you." "She loved leverage," I said, and walked past. At Alex's office, we signed the freeze orders. County records flagged every property transfer with my name for manual review. The bank locked our joint account, then the secondary line she hid under a travel budget. The trust stayed sealed. Jamie came in with a drive. "More," he said. On it, Mark coaching Melissa to grab the house first, then the company. Courts move slower than registrars. There was also a video from 2 months ago. Melissa practicing my signature on a lightbox. Clear as day. We shipped copies to Patel. She didn't smile often. She smiled that day. "This is clean." For 48 hours, my phone exploded. Melissa's friends posted pray for her stories. A mutual acquaintance DM'd me a snake emoji. One of my foremen, Luis, texted, "We got you, boss." I walked sites like nothing happened. Checked rebar, signed off on inspections, ate a burrito standing under a half-built deck. I answered every question with specifics, because specifics keep a company upright when gossip tries to shake it. That night, Nora called again. I let it ring out. She left a message. She says you owe her loyalty. I saved the voicemail and slept fine. 2 days later, Mark's lawyer reached out. No felony if we talk restitution, he said. Patel said, no. Mark folded first. He met Patel with his head tipped down and gave up everything. Dates, logins, a thumb drive from his desk labeled, drafts, danger. He tried to spin it as Melissa's idea. The transcripts didn't care whose idea it was. They cared who did what when. Patel called me. We have enough for indictment on both, she said. But Mark's cooperation gets him a plea. Your wife, she corrected herself. Ms. Moore, refuses to talk. Of course she does, I said. The next morning, a local blog ran a piece. Business owner betrays wife. Assets hidden in secret trust. No byline, lots of adjectives. Comments weren't kind. My project coordinator, May, brought coffee to my office and shut the door. Do you want a statement? Just work, I said. We keep building. We did. We poured a slab on 3rd Street and framed a roof in Round Rock. Paper doesn't nail boards. People do. My people stayed. That evening, I got a restricted call while I was locking the yard. Accept? The robot voice asked. I hit one. Melissa. Jail background hum. Daniel, she said, soft like a memory. They're telling lies. Mark's turning on me. They're telling timestamps, I said. You wanted me to fail. No, I wanted you to stop. She exhaled into the receiver. Take me home. Post bail. You tried to steal my house. I'm your wife. You're under oath tomorrow, I said, and hung up before the recording warned me about time. The next day, we moved through prelims. The defense tried to toss the kitchen video as invasive. The judge viewed it twice and shook his head. Visible common area. Defendant aware of the device in the room. Jamie had filmed her adjusting the clock once. Motion to suppress denied. After lunch, Mark made one last dumb decision. He texted Nora. If Daniel rescinds, I can make this go away for both of us. Nora, smarter than she looked, forwarded it to Alex, who forwarded it to Patel, who filed it under witness tampering, attempted. Mark's plea tightened. That night, I drove to my house and found a flower arrangement leaning against the front door like it was tired. White lilies. A card that just said, talk. I put the whole thing in the bin and rinsed the pollen off my hands with the hose until the water ran clean. The grand jury met on Thursday. 12 citizens flipped through piles of things Melissa never expected anyone to read. By 3:40 p.m. Patel called. True bill on all counts. At arraignment number 2, Melissa looked smaller. Hair pulled back, no lashes, freckles I hadn't seen since our first date. When the clerk asked, how do you plead? She said not guilty. In a voice that sounded like someone else's. Court set a date. 6 weeks. I set my own list. Job schedules, supply orders, payroll, lawyer meetings. I didn't miss a single thing. 2 weeks in, Jamie found the account owner for the unknown wire. A woman named Kylie in Scottsdale, who happened to be Mark's on and off girlfriend. Patel pulled her in. Kylie walked into the DA's office in leggings and a hoodie and cried within 7 minutes. Her statement was clean. Mark said it was temporary. Melissa said it was safer in my name. The next day, Melissa's lawyer filed a motion. Release of frozen funds for living expenses. The judge allowed $1,500 a week monitored. Alex leaned toward me at the table. She'll hate the leash. She did. I could tell by the way Nora's texts got shorter and meaner. You're starving her. Then, she needs clothes for court. Then, I hope you rot. I didn't answer any of them. 3 weeks before trial, Patel scheduled a deposition. She slid photos across to Melissa. The lightbox signature practice, the kitchen swap, the county portal with Mark's IP, the wire to Kylie. Melissa kept her face blank and said, no memory. So many times it sounded like a song. I stepped out to the hallway for water and found Nora there, arms folded tight. She's not a monster, she said. I didn't call her one. You're enjoying this. I'm surviving it. She looked at my face, searching for something. You changed, Daniel. I had to. The night before trial, Jamie sent one more file. An old recording from 6 months earlier, back when I thought Melissa's sudden overnight yoga retreats were innocent. In it, she tells Mark, half laughing, if he'd just sign what I put in front of him, we'd be sipping piña coladas by now. I watched it twice, then closed my laptop and stood at the sink with the tap on, cold water rushing over my wrists. I let it run until my hands felt numb and very awake. Trial started on a Monday. Jury selection took a day and a half. I wore the same navy suit all week. Melissa wore beige and didn't look at me. Mark looked everywhere but the jury. Patel's opening was plain. You will see what they did. No fireworks, just a promise. She kept it. Exhibit by exhibit, log by log. April testified about the seals. Jamie testified about the camera, the IP trace, the audio chain. The county clerk testified about timelines. May testified that I was on site the days they claimed I sat in a notary's office. When it was my turn, I told the truth in straight lines. Yes, I saw the transfers. Yes, I created the trust months earlier. No, I didn't confront her then. I documented. I protected the company. Melissa's lawyer tried to paint the trust as a trick. So you hid money from your wife. I looked at the jury. I protected business assets from fraud. The trust paperwork predates the forged forms. It's in the binder. Patel tapped the binder. The jurors nodded, some even flipped pages. Cross on Melissa was worse to watch. She kept defaulting to, I don't recall. Even when Patel showed her the video of her tracing my signature. Is this you? It appears to be. Are those your hands? Silence, then. Yes. On day 4, Mark testified for the state. He tried to blame pressure. It was a whirlwind, she said he'd signed. All the usual small lies people tell when they're cornered. Patel let him finish. Then brought up the text to Nora and the drafts, danger drive. He shrank an inch in the chair. By late afternoon, the judge dismissed us for the day. Outside, the sky felt big. The building felt like a box I'd rather not step back into. I got in my truck and drove to the site on 3rd. Framing gun chatter, lumber smell, music from a radio someone had turned too low to hear lyrics. Luis waved. We're good for roof tomorrow, he said. Do it, I said. We're not stopping. That night, I found the ring Melissa had taken off the morning of her arrest. It was in a small dish by the sink, where we used to drop keys and loose screws. I held it under the light, watched it throw little dots on the ceiling, then put it back in the dish and turned the light off. Day 5 would be closing arguments. I set my alarm, ironed the navy suit again, and slept like a stone. Closing arguments were short. Patel pointed at the paper trail and said, This isn't a misunderstanding. It's a plan. Melissa's lawyer tried to sell a romance gone sour. The jury looked tired of being sold anything. Deliberations started at 11:12 a.m. I walked the block with Alex and bought a sandwich I didn't taste. At 2:03 p.m. the bailiff called us back. Guilty on all counts, the foreman said. Melissa's jaw trembled. Mark stared at the table like it could swallow him. I heard someone behind me gasp. Maybe Nora. Maybe not. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. Patel asked for 8. The judge gave Melissa 7 years with restitution. Mark got 3 with credit for cooperation and a suspended license pending bar review. When Melissa heard 7, she did the math out loud under her breath. Like time was a bill she couldn't afford. Outside, Nora cornered me on the steps. You could have stopped this, she said. I did, I said. That's why it's only 7. She flinched like I slapped her. You never loved her. I loved her enough to marry her, I said, and walked away before she could hand me any of her anger. The week after sentencing, I changed the alarm codes, swapped the front door, and boxed Melissa's things with a label gun like I was inventorying a supply room. Shoes, jackets, random. Nora picked them up without meeting my eyes. I listed the house for rent. A quiet family from Temple signed a lease, nurse, forklift operator, 2 kids who looked at the backyard like it was a vacation. On move-in day, the little boy asked if the treehouse was safe. It is, I said. I built it. He nodded like that solved everything and ran to climb. Alex handled the rest. The civil filings, the restitution ledger, the property corrections. Mark's plea became public. His firm scrubbed his face from their website within an hour. April, the notary, sent me a pie with a note. For paperwork done right. I ate a slice over the sink like a teenager. Work filled the spaces. We finished the roof on 3rd. We broke ground on a small clinic build. I fired a supplier who got sloppy with deliveries and hired a better one. Every invoice had new eyes on it. My office got a second safe. Sometimes, late, I'd find myself in the garage staring at the boxes on the top rack. The ones with photos I hadn't opened since the wedding. I'd pull one down, see the smiles that were real in the moment, then tape it shut again and put it back. Not because I couldn't look, because I didn't need to. 3 months in, I got a letter from Melissa. Lined paper, pencil, neat handwriting like a school test. She said she was sorry I felt betrayed. Not sorry I did it. Sorry I felt it. She asked for books. I sent 2. A woodworking guide and a paperback on finance basics. No note. Nora texted once more. She hates you and misses you. I stared at the screen until it went black. Didn't answer. Jamie stopped by with an envelope. Final clip for your records, he said. The jail phone call where Melissa told someone she'd be out early. That I'd fold. That I always did. I kept it in the file because records matter, not because I wanted to hear it. Mark emailed me through his lawyer, offering a professional apology. I flagged it and archived it without opening. Clean folders. Clean desktop. Every decision a straight line. On a Tuesday, I pulled up to a job site and saw a little girl drawing with chalk on the sidewalk. She wrote her name inside a crooked heart and dotted the I with a star. Her mom called her in for dinner. I stood there a minute, listening to birds argue in the live oak, and realized it was the first time in a long time I wasn't bracing for a hit. Life settled into a rhythm. Work, gym, calls with my brother, tacos on Friday with the crew. I started sleeping with the windows cracked, letting the night roll through the house like water. I bought a cheap secondhand guitar and taught my fingers to hurt again. Pain with a purpose is good. 2 years later, I got a courthouse envelope. Mark's license. Revoked. A note from Patel. Case closed. I left the note under a magnet on the fridge, where I keep boring things I want to smile at by accident. On the anniversary I didn't celebrate. I drove out of town, past fields, past billboards for fireworks and pecans, and parked by a lake. I skipped a stone until my wrist clicked and the stone finally hopped 4 times. I counted them out loud and laughed like a normal person. If someone had filmed it, it would have looked boring. Honest things usually do. People think revenge is fire. Mine was paperwork and patience. It was coffee at 6 a.m. Signatures that meant what they said, cameras pointed at the right clock, and a door opening for strangers who needed a house more than I needed a shrine. If there's philosophy in any of this, it's not big. It's this: you don't have to raise your voice if you build the room right. You don't have to explain if the facts can walk on their own. And when someone tells you you'd be nothing without them, you don't argue. You get quiet, you get ready, and you make sure that when the floor drops, you're the one who measured the beams. Then you lock up, turn off the lights, and go on with your life.